Hey guys, Frosty Knives here, back with another EU book review. And today we are going to be taking a look at the book The Ruins of Dantooine by Veronica Whitney Robinson. Now, a couple things about this book. This is Veronica's one and only entry into the expanded universe. So this is the only book she has written for Star Wars. The book is based on a video game or takes place within the universe of a video game. It's based on Star Wars Galaxies, An Empire Divided. It was an MMORPG from way back in the day. Now this story it's an original story. It doesn't retell the story of something that happened in the video game. There's original characters, an original story. It just takes place in that universe for some reason. I'm not sure what about it makes it a Galaxies book other than the marketing. And the third thing about this book, I will put this on record as saying this has probably the ugliest cover of any Star Wars Expanded Universe book out there. I might die on that hill. This is an ugly cover. All they did was they did a screenshot of in-game graphics, which at the time, even at the time, I mean, this looks terrible. This whole thing looks terrible. Whoever was in charge of cover for this book should be whipped with a wet noodle for a long time, because this is terrible. They would have been better off just putting in some nice font with just the title and maybe the author's name or something. But this is, holy hell, this is horrible. Bad look. I don't know if, that certainly didn't help the book any. I don't know if it harmed the book, the sale of the book, but sure as hell didn't help it any. So it's a rather short book, and it was a rather fast read. It's a very simple story. It's about two people. One of them is Dusk Mistflyer, who is a Imperial bioengineer. This is a fancy way of saying she's a scientist who goes around the galaxy taking samples of indigenous life forms and then trying to figure out how to make weapons out of those samples. I mean, the Empire is not actually studying species, right? They're looking to see what can we make weapons out of and what can we genetically modify and what can we use. So that's her job. And then there's Finn, who is part of the Rebel Alliance. So there is a holocron on the ruins of Dantooine, apparently. So in Dantooine, there is a holocron, and the holocron contains the names of all of the Rebel sympathizers, and maybe even some actual rebels and their sympathizers. And so that would obviously be a very bad thing to fall into the hands of the Empire. So the rebels send Finn off on a mission to go retrieve the holocron. And along the way, Dusk, who is just on a routine mission on a planet doing some Imperial bioengineering work, gets caught up in this. And so the two of them now are on a mission to Dantooine to get this holocron. Finn says he needs her help because she's an Imperial bioengineer and she has Imperial credentials, and that will allow her to get onto any planet that she wants. It's a bit of a thin excuse there. But the story is they go a little bit across the galaxy. It feels sort of like very much like a video game would feel like. They start here and then they go here, do a little side thing here, then they go to the next planet, do a little side thing there, and then eventually they get to Dantooine. And, of course, there's the big reveal, which is not really a secret to anybody, in that just as Dusk is changing her position and she no longer wants to be an Imperial bioengineer, she wants to be part of the Rebel Alliance, because in the 3 days that she's involved in this little exploit, her whole worldview seems to have changed in 3 days, and now she wants to be part of Rebel Alliance, and she's fully invested in the rebellion's cause. And to no surprise to anybody, Finn turns out to be Imperial agent, undercover, and he's using her, and he's using the rebels to get the holocron for his master. Pretty standard stuff here, right, going on in the book. Eventually, the holocron gets destroyed, and Finn goes back to his Imperial overlords. Dusk goes to the Rebel Alliance, and neither of them will ever be mentioned again in a book going forward. This is where their story begins and ends, and that's it. And that's the story. Overall, it was a fairly mediocre story. It was nice to see, the ruins, to see Dantooine, being as how it was just sort of like the passing thing in Star Wars. We know that there used to be a rebel base on Dantooine, and now there wasn't. Then they moved to Yavin. So it's nice to see the rebel base and what was there and all of this stuff. Dusk is an Imperial bioengineer, and boy, she will never let you forget that she's an Imperial bioengineer, because everywhere they go, she's identifying the local fauna and flora. She's identifying all the species. So it's kind of like a running monologue with Bill Nye the Science Guy. Like every planet they visit, they're talking about the animals and the species and all the things, and the biodome and the fauna and everything that's going on in the planet. It's kind of like a running monologue, right? Little science stuff going along as you go through this little story. Like I say, overall, it's fine. It's not bad. It's a fast read. The original trilogy members show up sporadically. Leia and Han and Chewie and Luke, she weaves them in here, but really sparsely. They take they'll probably take about maybe 2 pages total, right, of the book. So you just got to weave them in there so that we don't forget that these people exist, and that there's a galactic civil war going on, and that there's a rebellion going on. But other than that, it is what every book doesn't want to be, and that is forgettable. I read it, and I wasn't bored, but I wasn't intrigued. It was a fast read, but you're really not going to remember it in the next couple of days, and ergo, I've already forgotten most of the book. So this is definitely not something I would run out and buy and run out and read. You can 100% skip this book and miss nothing. Nothing at all. It doesn't really push along the overall story of what's going on in the rebellion and the Civil War. It doesn't do that. It doesn't bring in any new information or talk about old information or push along this storyline or that storyline. It just is. It's just a story. And you can forget about it. It's not exactly memorable. So, my opinion, unless you're a completionist, like what we're doing, you can 100% skip this book. Unless whatever I've said seems to resonate with you for some reason and you want to read it. But it does not bring anything new to the table. Doesn't advance anything new to the table. Doesn't explain anything new to the table. You'll just forget it. I think I gave it a 3, and even that was probably generous. On Goodreads, it's probably more of a 2, because it just, it is what it is. It's lukewarm pasta water. So, yep. So that's my review of the Ruins of Dantooine. We're almost to The Empire Strikes Back. 2 more books. The next book that we're going to read is Splinter of the Mind's Eye by Alan Dean Foster. And that should be an intriguing and interesting book to read, because that is the book where the expanded universe truly began. And I've never read it, and I'm excited to read it to see what it's about. I do like Alan's writing. He does really well with that. So that will be the next book that we're reading. So guys, that's my review of the Ruins of Dantooine. Have you read it? Why? Why did you read it? What are your thoughts on it? And what are your thoughts on anything that we've been talking about so far, or anything in particular you want to mention about Star Wars, or really whatever is going on in your life? And as always, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a share, give it a subscribe, share it around, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell the very rare people that think this book might be actually really, really good. And until next time, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and I will see you in the next review.